Hello everyone and welcome to the Graveyard Shift, where your nightmares become a reality. I'm your host for this evening, Max Kellerhalls, and with me today I have...
Hi, sup, I'm Kris.
Lilly. Katie. Gabby.
And today we're going to be talking about monster movies. And what we consider monster movies are pretty much anything that is like your classical monster, like vampires, werewolves, zombies, and some modern monsters that are kind of like new, like
Sharks.
weird creatures. Oh, we also consider some animals, like fictionally big animals, monsters. How about we start off with this one, because gave the term blockbuster.
For real?
Jaws. Yeah, and the reason why it's called blockbuster is because there was such a huge line going into the theater that it reached beyond the block. So literally blocks were busted. So that's what gave that term, and it was like it pretty much, movies are now seen as before Jaws and after Jaws, because it really gave birth to a lot of like thematic elements that Jaws set up, like you don't show the monster until halfway through. Bruce the shark is terrifying. It's called Bruce because on set they would call it Bruce based on the producer that they hated. That's kind of a funny joke behind that. But yeah, it's a Steven Spielberg classic. It's the movie that set up so many different shark movies that we will be talking about later, a particular shark movie. Again, just the music is incredible. You all know that.
The intensity.
The intensity of it. John Williams is incredible. One of the things that I've always liked about this movie is that it is almost like a horror family picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I watched this as a kid with my family and we loved it. Even though, like, at the end, spoiler, there's a dude who just gets eaten brutally. And it's
Spoiler for Jaws.
I know.
Yeah,
Well,
Jaws has been out for like, what, 30
Uh-huh.
years?
Yeah, I know. But whatever, I'll cut that part out. But yeah, dude gets, like, eaten brutally in this movie, and it's, like, yeah, great character, though. But also, they eat a kid.
Yeah.
As a kid, I was like, oh my god, that made it more terrifying for me, so when they actually killed the damn thing, it was actually really cool and rewarding. But yeah, like...
Well, and then Jaws has 3 sequels.
Let's not talk about those.
Because they're bad.
They're not good. Well, yeah, the classic Jaws, like, it cannot be beaten. It is still, to this day, the best shark movie.
I love Jaws, like, don't get me wrong, I'd have to disagree.
Oh my god, we can get into that later.
But I will say the only adverse effect of movies like Jaws is how it then impacted, like, the actual shark community. Because after that, like, shark hunting and stuff like that skyrocketed.
That is true.
Which was not good and not, like, an effect that they could have known was going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's, like, still impacting our planet.
It's kind of like the Finding Nemo thing, where, like,
Yeah.
after Finding Nemo came out, everybody wanted to start buying clownfish, but they didn't know how to take care of them, so just a bunch of clownfish started dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit.
Is that real?
That is real.
That's very real.
It's
Yeah.
very real.
Or, like, people would dump them in lakes and rivers and, like,
No.
you know, because they didn't know what to...
Yeah, they
And
didn't know
so-
what to do.
Oh, so, and they could somehow have survived, like, yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, it was
because
bad.
that's just gonna screw up the entire ecosystem.
Definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, Jaws did, like, something similar where, like, after that, people were like, oh, sharks are scary and bad and
Mhm.
they eat people, which, like,
They don't
can.
really.
The thing about shark attacks is when you die from a shark attack, it's from blood loss, not from, like, the
Them
shark
eating you,
eating
yeah, yeah.
But I think that's what does make Jaws so scary is the fact that, like,
It targets people.
it defies the nature of what sharks
That's why I
actually
consider it
do.
a monster, because it is not like traditional sharks.
Real,
One,
yeah.
it's too damn big to be a regular great white, and it doesn't, well,
Megalodon.
no, it's not a megalodon. It is like an abnormally large,
It's, like, big, but it's not like, oh my god.
yeah, and it intentionally goes after people.
Yeah. Because it, like
Like it's an asshole.
sharks don't hunt that way.
No, they don't.
That's just not normal. I will say, though, like, no opening scene has ever gotten me the way that Jaws does, because it opens with, like these 2 kids, they're just fucking around. The girl is like, let's go skinny dipping, which is really a great idea when you're drunk. And the guy's like, yeah, and so he's struggling to get his clothes off. And then he falls asleep. He falls asleep. I think
That's
they're
kind
just
of
that
natural, though, for some guy.
Yeah.
He falls asleep.
He falls
Where?
asleep on the beach. And so the girl's in the water just, like, swimming around. And then the shark, like, eats her, and it's, like, dragging her
Yeah.
around in the water. So, like,
You've
that's
seen this scene before, probably.
That's what the...
She's naked?
Yeah, and that's what the
Well,
punishment is,
like it's all silhouetted. You don't see anything.
Yeah, you don't
it's,
see-
It's PG. This movie's
You've never seen
PG.
Jaws?
No, it's not
It's
movie.
PG?
It was also PG 30
Okay, we
years
gotta watch
ago.
Jaws, too.
Yeah, because, okay, again, Spielberg, back then there was no PG-13. There was only PG and R. So there
Yeah.
was this weird
PG
image.
versus R. Oh my god.
That's
That-
why movies like this and Poltergeist and stuff like that got away with like a G rating.
Do you know the movie that made the PG-13?
No.
Indiana Jones and the Temple of
That
Doom?
makes a lot of sense.
Because in that movie, there's a scene where a guy gets his like heart taken out and like dipped into lava, and his heart then ignites on fire.
Indiana
They like
Jones
show
did it.
everything, and it's just like it was so extreme that parents are like, okay, it's not R, but it's definitely not PG. So they had to
it's
come.
not for like 5-year-olds.
So they had to come up with a new rating for this, and they came up with PG-13, where it's like slightly for older kids. And
Don't
yeah.
show this to youngins.
Well,
But
And
then
I
it
think-
also PG movies then became like more like G movies, and then you barely get any G movies now.
Because I think with Jaws now it would definitely be PG-13, but I still think it would be on the lower end of like, I'd still let my like 10-year-old
Oh,
watch
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You know, because there's some PG-13 movies where I'm like, but with Jaws I'd be like, yeah, sure, Tommy, let's get some popcorn and
It
watch
depends
some
on the
films."
kid.
I don't know.
You're gonna name your kid Tommy.
No, that's like a name I don't want to name my child. I don't know why.
Sorry, Tom.
Sorry to every British person named Tommy, because it's really common. for
Well, when I
British
marry
people to go
Tom
by
Holland, I'm kidding.
Oh.
Yeah. That's different.
Shoot your shot? No, I'm kidding.
Absolutely.
All right,
Get
but yeah,
today
that
out of
was
the
This is her shooting her shot.
Come on.
Tom Holland's going to listen.
spread it, spread this episode.
Start spreading.
Tag
the
hum.
news.
Taking a break from social
Tom
media
Tolland.
right
Tom Holland. You're good.
Tag hum.
All right, on the train of like classic movies, we're gonna go like further back into the 20s or 30s with Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. I'm looping these two together because personally I think that they both encapsulate Mary Shelley's original book, in my opinion. From what I know about Mary Shelley's book, both these movies.
You didn't read the book?
No, I never read the book.
You didn't read the book and you're talking about the Frankenstein movies?
Yes,
Boy!
because I've seen the movies.
But why is it not required in your classes?
I just never read
Okay,
it.
from what I understand, the Frankenstein movie, though, is kind of really different than the
It is.
book.
It is.
Really?
From what I know, it is very different.
What's it like?
Well, like, first of all, like, the monster isn't, like, they don't explain how the process happens. It's just science in the book, from what I know. Like, it's alive, that wasn't in the book. Like, they changed the names of characters, I think, like, it's Victor Frankenstein?
Yeah.
In the book. In the movie, it's Henry Frankenstein. I don't know why.
Oh.
It's random.
Also, wait, where does it take place in the movie?
I thought it was Transylvania.
No, that's still...
Because in the book, I think it takes place in, like, Switzerland?
That makes
It's
more
either
sense.
Switzerland or like some English. From what I remember, because like I watched it
Well,
once.
it like travels.
Some
like-
vaguely European country.
Yeah, vaguely European with like that old aesthetic of like brick houses that are down there and like this evil dark castle that has somewhat new technology for the time, like Tesla coils and all that shit. Things to make it look like scientific, like
Yeah.
things that just go.
Yeah. And
Things
like
that go
general
brr.
audiences wouldn't look at that and go, that wouldn't have existed because they don't fucking
Yeah, they
know.
don't know.
It was 1931.
Yeah,
They
it
don't know
was
shit.
back then. It was during that Depression era,
Yeah.
which is weird to think like this came out during that era.
The Great Depression?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I've never seen Frankenstein, but I know quite a bit of history around like the Depression era. And the thing about that is like if you had even just enough money to go to the movies, you would, because you could entertain your children for 6 hours. Because you wouldn't just see like
Oh, yeah.
Frankenstein, you'd see Frankenstein, and then there'd be little shorts in between, and then you'd see another movie, and then more shorts. And like going to the movies was a whole event. It was
Mhm.
like a thing.
Oh yeah.
You made a moment out of it. And so I actually have a funny story is one of my teachers, and this was like a little bit later, like it was probably like a reshowing, because I don't remember how old she was, but I don't think she was as old to have like fully lived through the Great Depression. She had seen it as like a double feature when she was a child, and she had seen it with her brother who was like a little bit younger than her. She was probably in her teens and he was like 10 or 12. She after they had seen it, she ran ahead of him and like hid behind a wall and then like jumped out at him after and scared the shit out of him, bro. Like Frankenstein messed that kid
Well,
up.
yeah, like Frankenstein. I mean, now it's a bit. There's nothing too extreme because like Hays Code and like back then there was like strict rules about what you can and cannot show on movies.
They make like kidified versions of Frankenstein.
Well, no, it wasn't. But for the time, they did kill a kid on screen.
Yeah.
Like,
It
well,
wasn't,
it
like-
wasn't violent. It was basically
No.
he threw her into the lake and she didn't come out.
Yeah, I've seen that scene because she showed it to us in our history class.
Yeah. That was like the scene that like freaked everybody out because, well, then again, it makes sense. You're killing a kid.
Yeah.
That is a taboo subject, but it's just not
Yeah,
as.
killing children, in case you didn't
Killing
know.
people is kind of a taboo, guys.
No, children.
Children.
Killing people is fine.
Children and dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone who kills an animal in front of me, even in movies, immediately
John
off
Wick
with their
movie.
head.
Frankenstein, it's a good, like, it's nice. If you want to watch it in a way of, like, this is a classic movie and I'm going to watch a bit of history. This is, like, film history. Bride of Frankenstein is, I think, a little bit better because it's a bit more entertaining. It has a lot more elements that I think are cool in the Frankenstein lore. The whole bride thing, though, is only at the last 10 minutes of the movie and she has no lines. I mean, the design is classic with, like, the lightning bolt hair and all
Because
that.
women are stupid, Max. I dare you to respond to that.
I don't know, but okay.
Moving on.
Someone save me. No, like the whole creation of the bride happens off screen. She doesn't really get much of like a. She gets a cool reveal of like her like being like all stiff and like her arms out. Them taking off the bandages to reveal what she looks like, and she does have a really cool like movement. She reacts to everything like a cat. Like it's very like. Like, it's really interesting and cool, but, like, she doesn't get much to do. It's not like the book with the whole bride element, from what I know. Barely about the book, but, like, I know the monster asks for a bride,
Yeah,
right?
he does.
Yeah, in the book he asks for a bride, and when he doesn't get it, he kills Victor's fiance.
Okay.
Which I think happened. I just read it happens in the movie too.
Which one?
Valid.
The first one, the 1931.
Oh, yeah, he attacks her. I don't think she dies, though, because in the next movie, they're like, oh, you're feeling better now? It's very tame. Like, both movies end on a weird, like,
oh, yeah.
Like, the first movie ends off on a weird anticlimactic note because, yeah, the monster goes into, like, the burning windmill and is assumed dead. But in the next movie, you just see he's, like, all burned up or, like, has, like, you can see, like, the metal plate in his head and all that shit. There's a lot of cool stuff. Boris Karloff is, like, iconic as the monster. He, pretty much every time you see a Frankenstein now, it is based off that design and his look and that, like, rectangular head, bolts on the neck, stitches on the forehead. That look came from this movie.
Yeah,
and
which
I-
is not book accurate. And that kind of pisses me off.
Why?
But because he's supposed to be like this misshapen thing that looks still somewhat human, but off.
Okay.
He's not supposed to have like the bulbs or the scars or anything. He just like looks sort of human, and it's like just human enough to where it's creepy.
Mm-hmm. Like,
So-
again, it's like a man made out of multiple different people, so, like, nothing looks the
Right.
same. No, yeah, I mean, like, there's a bunch of, like, movies that have tried to do a bunch of retellings of the Frankenstein story that have done that idea where it's, like, there's a patch of skin here that's a different color, or there's, like, one arm's bigger than the other, that kind of thing, but, I mean, I'm yet to seeing, like, a movie, like, really, like, take the Frankenstein design to, like, a really interesting level.
Well, have you ever read Unwind? It's a book that's kind of in the same vein of like Frankenstein, but instead it's in a future where like abortion is fully illegal, but before a child turns 18, you can have them unwound, which is the process of like technically killing them, but people can have like their arms or their legs or their ear, and that keeps them like alive in theory. And so it's like, what is it called? Unwind.
You
Huh.
told me about
I'm
this.
gonna read
but-
this.
And so it's kind of like a Frankenstein story, but in a futuristic setting of like, and so this guy, you meet him and he has like an arm, and he's like, yeah, this arm can juggle, but I can't. Like, it's just the arm because it retains like the
Oh,
fine
muscle
motor
memory?
skills.
Yeah, muscle memory. Yeah.
And like somebody else can do magic, but he never learned how. It's just that the kid's arm like knows how, and so
Like, sleight of hand, or, like...
yeah.
Okay, I was
And-
about to say, like, magic?
Yeah, and so like you follow as 3 kids are like trying to not be unwound because of course they don't want to fucking die.
Yeah.
And so it's like a Frankenstein story, but with more sciencey kind of elements, and it's really gross.
That's a cool book. I've heard. I mean, there's some. Mary Shelley's book, original book, has like been adapted and like retold in so many different ways. A bunch of elements from that story have been used into different sci-fi and horror shows. Like there's Frankenweenie, which we're not gonna talk about, but like it's a good movie. Watch it. We're gonna move on, keeping it on like the classic movie monster kind of thing. This isn't a classic, but this just came out, and it's very much in the style of classic horror movies. Werewolf by Night. Now, what this movie is about, a bunch of monster hunters are summoned to this one house where their pretty much master used to live. And they are basically told, look, you guys can have this bloodstone if you are able to kill this one monster that is virtually impossible to defeat. And that's pretty much all I'll say on the setup. I won't tell you what the monster is because the name of the movie may say... No, actually the monster is not what you think that they're hunting. But there is a werewolf in this movie. It is just not the monster they're hunting. But the guy who plays the main character, Jack, is really interesting because he's really timid and shy. But he's known to be like he's killed the most amount of monsters, like hundreds of monsters. Yeah, and he's played by Gael Garcia Bernal, who played the uncle in Coco.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uncle Hector. He's also in the movie Old. He plays like the dad in Old, but yeah,
I just heard
It's not bad.
Grace just told me it was good. So
It's not bad.
I don't like that. I don't like Old, but like I will say Gael Garcia Bernal is really good in this movie. I love the character he plays, and all right, I'm just gonna say it because the poster kind of gives it away. He does play the werewolf, and I like their adaptation of like an old classic werewolf look in a modern sense because he could do, with the advent of special effects, they keep the suit practical, but he could just do more like cool werewolfy movements. Like this is surprisingly violent for a Disney Plus special.
it's a Disney Plus special.
Yeah, I shit
It
you
is a
not.
Marvel
Like
special.
Like it's brand new.
like there's throats that get slit, heads get like.
Well, they're putting adult stuff on Disney.
Yeah, I know, but like this is produced by Marvel and Disney. Like this
I mean,
isn't before like
What's
five.
it rated?
Well, TVMA.
Oh, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I mean,
Or, like,
they made
TV-14 or
Deadpool.
something like
They
that.
made Deadpool.
But here's the other thing, the reason why they get away. The movie is made to look like a classic 30s horror picture, so it's in black and white. They do a lot of tricks where it's like they use shadows to the best of their ability. There's a rule in movies where it's if you want it to be R and not X, find a way to make the blood not red. Because pretty much any time the blood is red, they will immediately bump up the rating, depending on how bloody your movie is. So, like, if you don't see blood, it's fine. Basically, as long as your blood is not red, you're okay. So, in the movie, since it's all in black and white, all the blood is technically black, or black-looking.
And if your blood is red, then something?
Yeah, if the blood is red in a movie, depending on how much you show, it becomes rated R or X.
And so the movie's in... Wait.
So to get around this, the movie's in black and white, so they can
This
basically...
brand new movie.
Yeah, this brand new movie's in black and white, so they can do whatever they want. But yeah, the movie's really cool. I'll also say this just as a last little bit of last great positive about the movie. Ted is my favorite character in this movie. I won't say who Ted is. Ted is possibly the best friend you could ever have.
Wow, Ted here would really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. He
The
would.
Ted that I still haven't met or even seen.
No, yeah.
Just look up Ted from Werewolf by Night. You'll see who he is.
Wouldn't it be so funny if he looked like Ted too?
Okay, I'm going to continue on with vampires real quick, and my favorite vampire movie is this movie called 30 Days of Night. I'm just going to quickly talk about it. Premise is, there's a town in Alaska called Barrow where for 30 days of a year there is no sun. So what happens during that time is a bunch of vampires just come in and just lay waste to this town and all of its occupancy. Like, some people do leave and they're like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to stay here for like 30 days. So the movie then becomes this madcap survival horror movie where for a whole month they have to stay away from these vampires who are pretty much, these aren't like your Twilight Sparkle, hoo-ha, like...
Twilight Sparkle?
My Little
Twilight-
Pony.
Well, that's a My Little Pony.
Twilight
The
Sparkle.
Twilight movies, they're fucking vampires sparkle.
Here's how you
It's
should have said that.
bullshit. But they're not like the prissy vampires. These ones are those. What?
Prissy. We like Twilight.
The book is really good.
From what I heard, the Twilight books are good. Just
Yeah,
the movies are shit.
Oh, yeah.
The
I have
movies are
never
good.
seen or read it.
Whatever. Besides the point, these vampires are feral. They could smell blood from a mile, or from like
Well-
anywhere. They are violent.
So
Like
can Edward Cullen.
Okay. By that logic, then women should not be living up there because 30 days, you're gonna get
well,
your period.
That's the thing. They have to deal with all these problems because they're like, okay, how are we gonna hide from these vampires? Like, they don't know the specific rules of these vampires. So like, one of the things they do is they hide out in a greenhouse that's in the area because of the UV lights. So when they come in, they basically burn to death. And yeah, so these vampires pretty much act more like a pack of wolves almost. So it's
Or
kind of weird, but it's like, yeah, or piranhas, where it's just like they have certain ways that they'll talk to each other. They'll like screech out to each other. They're really cool, but they are still human-like a bit. Instead of like the two fangs, they have like rows of sharp teeth. Like their mouths are creepy. They have dark black eyes. Yeah, they're really creepy and they're scary as fuck, man.
What's the name of the movie again?
30 Days of Night. It's a really cool horror movie. Yeah, it's just a really violent, fun time. It does have some elements where like, oh, that's kind of fucked up, but like, watch this towards like winter time, because then you'll really get the feeling of like how cold it is, because like, that's the thing, these vampires, they're fine to the cold. Like, they don't care. Like, but everybody else has to like bundle up and find warmth as best as they can without like making any noise, anything. They just have to hide out as best as they can for like 30 days. And like, you can't kill these things. Simple wounds are not gonna do that. Like,
And I'm guessing the stake through the heart doesn't work.
it takes a little bit more. Like, here, you could chop off their head and they'll die.
You
But
know
like,
what?
you gotta get them down to do that, though.
That's like
I think-
supernatural for real.
No, yeah.
I think what's so comical about these like monster movie rules though is that like a stake to the heart would kill a vampire. It's like that would kill anyone.
I know.
Or like a silver bullet kills werewolves. Well, if you shoot a human right, that'll kill them too.
Well, it's the
Yeah,
idea of
no,
like
for
the
real.
specificity of it.
I'm like, I think Lily's a werewolf, so I'm gonna shoot her with a silver bullet, and if she dies, she's a werewolf, clearly.
Well, it kind
Literally,
of goes
they did
like,
that with
I,
witches.
Yeah, they do.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think it kind of goes back to like that idea of like the witch trials, where it's just like these bullshit rules they would come up with to
Oh,
make
yeah,
people
'cause it
turn
was
into
like-
witches.
Like,
If
a
she-
witch would
if
float.
she floats, she's a witch.
Well, but
But
they
if she
attach
sinks,
weights to her.
or like if she doesn't drown, if she drowns, she's not a witch.
Right, and you're like, ah, fuck, guess that one wasn't a witch.
Uh-huh.
I'm just like,
Yeah, it's
But
like
it's-
ridiculous
But like
things like
that,
that.
really happens, so it's actually not that funny. But
It's
No,
not
it's not
funny.
funny.
It's not funny, but it kind of goes into that element of like these monster movie rules of like they have these weird specificities, and each movie that we may talk about that has like these classic monsters definitely has like different rules for how their monsters can be taken down. That's 30 Days of Night. All right, we're gonna move on. We're gonna have Katie talk about Them.
Yeah.
You want to explain what the premise of Them is?
So, Them came out in a time where, like, the Red Scare, because it was just after World War II, but it was, like, during, you know, one of the height of the Red Scare, and so everybody was like, oh my god, nuclear warfare, like, Russia's gonna bomb us, and we're all gonna die, right? Like, just the crazy stuff, and obviously that didn't happen, but there were those classic monster movies with, like, ginormous animals, because the idea would be that, like, a bomb would drop or something would happen, like some sort of nuclear fallout that wouldn't kill people, but did enhance or change animals. And so Them, with an exclamation point, is about giant ants.
That eat people.
They're massive and they eat people. And it's like, and it's so cheeseball and
Oh,
it's
it's
so,
so
but it's
cheesy.
so good. Because it's just like, it really, I think the interesting thing about monster movies is how they show, like, the culture of the time. And if you look at, like, when Them came out, you're coming out with all of these, like, monster movies about things that just are not, like, giant spiders, giant ants.
Godzilla was
Yeah.
in the 50s. That was Japan's version of this.
Yeah. And it's, like, about this fear of, like, nuclear fallout that causes, like, these kind of changes to things that, like, because ants are tiny, we're like, oh, just crush it. But when an ant is your size, like, if you actually think...
Hold on. Not just your size. Bigger than you.
Because if you... Okay, ants are actually really, really strong.
Yeah.
They can carry, like, 10 times their own weight. And so imagine an ant that is bigger than you that can now also carry 10 times its own weight.
You have become the ant, pretty much. Well, not
Exactly.
that big, but, like, you have become, like...
Comparatively.
Comparatively.
But like the ant could carry like a motorcycle by itself
Oh,
easily.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus fuck.
And so, like, if this ant picks you up, it's not necessarily that you're gonna, like, be cut in half, like, because it's from the 50s. But, like, your body is crushed internally, and,
Yeah,
like...
the movie's not
It's
bloody.
not, it's not gory.
It's cheesy. Like, they do the thing where, like, they put up their hands and they go, ah! And then they cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. There is one scene where a guy does get, like, picked up on screen and tossed.
Okay.
But that's pretty much, like, it is one of those ones where, like, a lot of the carnage is seen off screen.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw it for the first time while eating dinner with my parents. And I love it. It's just such a mark of its time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so, like, fun and, you know, I can understand, like, because it is, in its own right, like, it is scary because you don't want giant ants roaming around your town.
You don't want
Fuck
ants in
giant-
your house.
Yeah,
Dude.
you don't want normal sized
Giant ants would
Yeah,
fucking
give it a
terrify
fuck
me. I'm
story.
scared of regular sized ants. I am scared of any type of bug.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
Giant.
If I was a kid, ants crawled all over my body because they were in my bed.
I do have a creepy, not an ant story, but a creepy spider story that I do want to tell.
Yeah.
Real quick, but when I was like a teenager, I would sometimes like lay on the floor, just on my back, and I sleep shirtless. One night, I was laying on my belly, and next thing you know, I feel this weird feeling like crawl up my spine,
No!
and like it crawled up my
What
spine,
was it?
up my spine, and then went off my left shoulder, and then I looked over what was crawling on the ground. It was a spider.
Ugh.
Oh.
I just stayed perfectly still, and then I basically like smacked that bitch.
Ew.
That's the other thing is, like, since it's the 50s, it's all, like, very practical
Oh
effects.
yeah.
And so, like, it's so gross.
Oh yeah.
And I love it because they did what they could.
Oh yeah.
And so that almost makes it worse because, like, you know that if they had the effects today, like, it would be CGI and it would, like...
It would well, Ant-Man.
Yeah,
Just look at that.
exactly. And like, it probably... It maybe
Well, the
it
ants
would
are
look
big in
better,
that sometimes.
but, like, I just don't think it would have the same charm because
No.
this ant is hairy. It has buggy eyes. Like, it is so
It's
grotesque.
puppeted, so like there's little things that on set that
Yeah.
they're kind of messing with. It's really cool. I have seen clips from them, just because like, it's again one of those like classic B movie horror movies from the 50s. That like it was definitely the movie is definitely atomic age horror.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah, when you're talking about, like, the Red Scare, I was like, where are you going with this? Because I knew what this was about, and I was like, are the ants supposed to represent communists? Like, Russians? I was like, where are you going
I mean,
with
if they
this?
were
People
red
used to do
ants.
crazy stuff like that
True.
all the time in their movies.
Well, and the other thing you gotta remember about the Red Scare is, like, ultimately, there's just no way that you could save yourself from nuclear fallout.
Oh, yeah.
Like, my grandma was telling stories, like, yeah, we'd, like, hide under our desks. It's like, Jay, that's not gonna do anything.
Have you seen those old, like, duck and cover ads?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
And that's exactly the energy, like, them is giving off, you know?
Mhm.
Like, it's
It's
very...
like the earthquake drills, but they're like, instead of an earthquake, it's a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Or, well, you guys
Or it's like the
probably did
tornado
do
drills in
earthquake
school.
drills.
Yeah.
We had to hide under our desks and be like, in case there was an earthquake.
Yeah.
You'd have to cover your neck. Yeah.
That still makes more sense than hiding under your desk because a nuclear bomb dropped.
Yeah, I know.
Like, that makes no sense.
Do you want to move on to another 50s
Yeah. The
horror?
Blob.
The Blob. You've seen the original Blob. I saw the 80s remake, so I'm kind of curious what you have to say about the original real quick.
To me, like, the Blob encapsulates everything that is, like, monster movie. Like, it's just so... Again, it's like with, them, where it's just kind of like, really? Like, it's a purple blob.
Yeah.
Okay,
Holy shit, bro.
the original Blob, it is in color.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Wait,
And
when
that-
was it made?
Well, because, okay,
50s.
so...
Here's the thing. The reason why most movies that you're thinking about, like in the 60s, are in black and white, is because black and white
I
film
haven't
was...
seen movies from...
Well,
I
if you think
Well-
about movies from like the 60s, you think black and white.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. colored film was like in the 40s.
For
Yeah.
reals?
Yeah.
It was just expensive.
Yeah, it's just really expensive
So, like,
to do.
Them came out only 4 years before the Blob, but the Blob had a better budget, so it was in
Mhm.
color.
Yeah.
And part of that is because like the Blob is purple, and so it just would not be the same without that like purple.
Well, it's
look.
I know in the movie it starts off at purple, but as it eats more people, it becomes redder.
Yeah.
And, like, it
because
starts
of the
more like it
blood.
becomes pink, and then it becomes like bright red, to imply that everybody's being digested.
Yeah.
I've seen a bunch of breakdowns of the original Blob. I know in that movie that was known because like one of the big things was like the teen element of like Steve McQueen
Yeah.
is like the main character representing teenagers at the time, even though I think he was like 20 or 30 playing a teenager.
Yeah.
Something still Hollywood has yet to fix.
But this was like
Sorry.
noticeable, like he had wrinkles.
It's like watching Grease. They have smile lines.
Yeah, yeah.
I think, and with the Blob, I just so think of like going to the drive-in.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
so,
it is
like,
very much that.
It just like them. It's like such a product of its time.
Mhm.
But instead of like them being about that fear of nuclear fallout, like the Blob is about teenagers and stuff like that.
It
It's
is.
so
Mhm.
it's about teenagers being eaten by a blob.
Yeah, and also, but the teenagers are the heroes in that movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I like about the 80s one. I'm going to talk about the 80s one now, but it's pretty much the same premise. The only thing that they change is that the original Blob is an alien. In the 80s remake, it's a government experiment.
Yes. Which again is like another product of like its
80s,
time.
yeah, 80s, yeah. The other thing that they do to update it, I think the 80s Blob is a perfect example of how you remake something.
Yeah.
Because they take the concept, they don't just remake the movie, they do something different with it, and they basically update things. So like, because it's in the 80s, you can kind of get more violent with this stuff. So instead of like making the Blob cheesy, they make this fucker violent.
Yeah.
When we're talking about melting people, you see people get melted.
Where
Men,
is
women,
that
children,
happen?
it is violent. And
Jesus.
another thing is like the teenage characters in this, it's really interesting because they do a thing where I really like when movies do this, where you follow this like this guy likes this girl, but there's also this bad boy in town. But
the bad boy.
but like this guy and this girl are like being a thing, and like that guy dies like 30 minutes in. They set him up as the main character, and then the main
original boy.
yeah,
Guys?
and the girl becomes the main character,
Yeah.
and like the bad boy becomes her like love interest.
So slay.
I was just like, wow, this is really cool. And, like, the girl gets shit done. It's just really so cool because she just, like, takes charge. Like, well, he's dead. I know what to do now.
Yeah.
And, like, she figures out what the
he was
weakness
a hindrance
is.
for real.
Huh?
He
Men
was
get in the
hindering
way.
her.
I guess so. The bad boy kind of, like, gets her out of a couple situations. Like, he's got a motorcycle and all that. He's that, like, tough, cool kid. He's, like, that rebel. But also, these are actually played by younger 20-year-olds, like 21-year-olds, so they kind of look more like teenagers.
Ah, yes. I am teenager.
But yeah, that's the Blob. It's the Blobs, I should say. They're both really cool. The 50s one is good, and for being a 50s movie, it definitely has that great charm to it. The 80s one has a lot of really fun elements to it because also they talk about like teenager stuff that they were talking about at the time. So there's like the idea of like contraception and all that kind of stuff, which was kind of like at the time it was like
Taboo.
a big, like a weird like thing you don't talk about.
But
it just made the characters feel more real.
I find all the like 50s monster movies to just that is monster movie to me. Like I think of The Thing from the Black Lagoon, The Blob, them, like those are monster movies.
How about we talk about Alien?
Yeah.
Speaking on the train of like strong female characters,
Yeah.
Alien was like the one where like Ayo Ridley,
Yeah.
badass.
She's awesome. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
like Sigourney Weaver kills it in this movie as like, but the thing is they don't set her up as the main character.
No, they
She just, it's just one of the things like after a point like, okay, I thought that guy was supposed to be she should get shit done because she's the one that's like, we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Why is our company sending us out to this bullshit backwater planet with this weird fucking spaceship that we don't know what it is? Why are you putting your face near that? Like, she's constantly, like, the skeptic.
Yeah.
And the smartest one in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think with Alien, it's just so, With Jaws too, like, Alien is so quotable. There's that one scene where the thing is, like, coming out of his chest,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's been redone so many times.
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs, like, I'm sure.
Hello, the
Spaceballs.
baby, hello. Yeah, okay, go on.
I'm pretty sure they did it in Family Guy. Like, they've done
Definitely.
that. They've done that. They do it so much because it's so, like,
It's iconic.
easily quotable. Yeah, it's iconic.
Because, like, at the time, that shit was, like, you did not see that coming because you're like,
Yeah.
oh, he's fine.
Yeah.
Like, he's, like, eating, he's chilling, he's joking around with his friends. Next thing you know, he's kind of, like, rubbing his chest. Like,
Yeah.
well,
like,
you're
is
like,
that the COVID? No.
yeah, or, like, oh, he must have swallowed something weird. Well, I mean, he kind of did. But, and next thing you know, like, he starts convulsing and, like, he goes on the table and, like, yeah, the thing pops out of his chest, the little phallic-shaped alien.
Yeah.
Speaking of phallic-shaped stuff, the alien is designed by an artist called H.R. Giger,
Mhm.
Giger or Geiger, either or, and he's known for his like pseudo sci-fi sexual artwork. It's actually really interesting if you want to like check it out. It's really cool artwork, but like you definitely see the alien influences in it because like it's a bunch of like pipes and wires, and when you look at the alien design, which to this day is an iconic alien design. But one of the things about it, it has this biomechanical look to it of like pipes that look like organs, tubes and everything like that, and that is very much an H.I. Geiger design and like, the alien is like perfect. Like it is like the
Yeah.
best design ever.
It's so good.
Yeah, but other things about the movie is like it sets up tension really well.
Yeah.
The scene in like the vent where she has where that one girl has the flamethrower.
Oh,
Vent Among Us. Sorry.
Well, okay, going on that point,
Oh shit.
like a lot of things that Among Us has done, that like thing of like, who is it,
Yeah.
does come from Alien, and especially like the idea of like an alien creature is Among Us.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
So
also,
it's Among Us the movie. I'm
Get
so
out.
sorry.
Get out.
I think the other thing about Alien is like, it's one of those ones where it was so completely avoidable. Because you're like, how dumb could you be? And they were, if not dumber.
Oh, you mean the characters?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the guy John Hurt, rest in peace, sticking his head. What is this thing? Ah!
Yeah, like, dude, you're on an alien planet. Maybe
And on an
don't
alien
do that.
spaceship.
Like, don't do that.
I know.
Common sense is not common,
No, it's
especially in
not.
movies.
No, it's not.
And then, like, you get into the fact that Alien and Predator is, like, together. Like, that's really funny to me.
Well, some canon, some not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't
It's
know.
it's like sometimes it's canon, but like we'll talk about Predator some other time. Yeah, Alien, great movie. Also, just quickly because I consider this more of an action movie. Aliens is really good. I prefer Aliens over Alien, but both are still like the perfect duology.
Which one was Aliens?
That's the one where, okay, Ripley survives Alien. I don't care about spoilers at this point. She goes to sleep in her like stasis pod.
Right.
She wakes up like in the future and on Earth, and they're like, "Hey, you're the only one who really knows about this planet, so we're colonizing it right now. We're not getting any word from them. Can you come with us? Don't worry. We'll send a bunch of Marines with you. That like, what's gonna happen? Nothing bad's gonna happen." And
It all happens.
shit hits the fan real quick.
And then there's Prometheus, which isn't that like
Oh
a
no,
prequel?
please no. I don't like Prometheus. I hated Alien Covenant.
I have only seen Alien and parts of Prometheus.
Yeah. Just watch Aliens and then that's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's where it ends for me.
That's all you need.
It ends for me with what happens at the end of that movie of them like going off into space.
Yeah.
That's it for me. Like everything else is like interesting ideas at that point. But yeah, Alien, great movie. I will say they are coming out with an Alien TV show for the FX. So I'm kind of looking more towards that because the writer of it, Noah Hawley, he wrote shows like Fargo, Legion. He's a really good writer. I'm looking forward to that because of just what he will do with it.
I'm looking forward to when Hollywood comes up with new ideas.
Wait a bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
wait a minute for that one.
Talking about things from outer space, let's talk about some killer clowns, baby.
Get killer clowns from
I've
outer
never
space.
seen the movie. Never seen the movie. It terrifies the shit out of me, though. Clowns are somewhat scary to me already, but clowns from outer space, fuck that. How would aliens even know about clowns?
Well, maybe. I mean, these clowns inspired our clowns.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
like to
god, oh
consider
my
that
god.
these killer clowns just did exist.
Yeah.
I, canonically, in my mind, I imagine the killer clown somehow having a conversation with someone and going, yeah, so do you know, like, what clowns are? And they're like, what the hell are clowns? Like, this is just what we look like.
Uh-huh.
That happened, of course, canonically in my brain. That doesn't mean it happened.
No,
but
yeah, this movie it's not smart.
no,
But it is very fun.
it's very
Like,
fun.
if we're talking about, like, cheesy B-movie fun, you can't get more than this.
It's so... Because it's
It's-
literally killer clowns from
It's
outer space.
lighthearted, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not entirely mean-spirited. Like, it's very lighthearted kills. Like, there's a moment where, like, a little clown is, like, gets boxing gloves out of nowhere and, like, threatening these bikers. And the guy just goes, what are you gonna do? Knock my block off? And just, the thing punches his head off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
really
little shit like that. There's some genuinely, like, creepy ideas. There's one where a guy is puppeted.
Yeah.
That's genuinely kind of creepy.
I also do
Ugh.
think that the clowns are generally creepy.
Oh, they're
looking.
terrifying to look at.
Like, that's the thing, is I find it so funny when people in this movie are like, haha, what are you gonna do? It's like, these bitches are creepy as balls. Like,
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Their heads are abnormally large.
Yeah. Like,
And
I
or
don't-
like they're not proportionate to what anything. It is genuinely creepy.
Yeah, no, it's horrible.
It's a really fun movie though. I will say that. It's like a perfect like B movie night where you just get a bunch of friends together and laugh at a movie. But you're not laughing at, you're more laughing with.
Yeah.
That's what I like about the movie, where it's like you could clearly tell that there was a lot of heart put into this.
It's enjoyably bad.
Yes. Like they knew this wasn't like Shakespeare. We're having fun with this. It's
Yeah.
killer clowns. Let's have fun. Let's come up with really cool ideas.
With a K.
With a K. Killer clowns.
Mm-hmm.
Also, real quick, just want to say, there is a video game of Killer Clowns from Outer Space
Yeah, I was
coming
just
out.
looking at that.
And I can't wait to play it because it's going to be from the same guys who did the Friday the 13th video game.
Oh.
So that's going to be really fun. Alright. I mean, we can kind of keep on the train of Killer Clowns if you guys want to talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to talk about it, primarily the 2017 and 2019 It's.
Yes.
I'll just say real quick about the 1990s It. It's enjoyable. It doesn't go too far like the book does, or like these new ones go. So, yeah, that's all I'll say. But Tim Curry's performance as Pennywise,
Icon.
I kind of prefer.
I think they're equal. I
Okay,
think they do their own, like, interesting things.
that's fair. Okay, but let's talk about the new It. How about we have Lily talk about what It is about?
Okay, so basically it's like these kids are just chilling in their town, but then all of a sudden a bunch of other kids start disappearing, like specifically one of the main kids' little brother, just like...
Spoil. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, yeah, you know what?
It's like the first, like, 3 minutes of the movie.
But it's literally,
Um,
like, the whole setting.
He, like, gets his arm ripped off, and then, like, he gets sucked into the, like, drain by, like, everyone's probably seen, like, the clown, and he's
Yeah.
like...
Hey,
it's
you
all,
want
like,
to
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
A
Georgie.
little kid in the yellow raincoat.
Yeah.
That
and
was
then-
such a popular Halloween costume.
Oh,
For
yeah.
real. And then the kid's like, come on, guys, we gotta go look for my brother who's been missing for 6 months, but he's not dead, don't worry. My 8-year-old brother can fend for himself. So,
Mm.
so they go looking for him, and they're like, I don't know, it's kind of creepy. Other kids are going missing. But they continue to look for him, and basically, you know, there's a clown, and he, like, shows them scary stuff. And, yeah.
The clown, Pennywise, played in this version by Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Who I do like his version. I like what he
Yes.
does with like this like twitching eye thing. I think
Yeah,
that's
well,
they
that's
just
all
go,
it.
like,
I know,
in
it's
the
really cool.
opposite direction.
yeah, that thing where his mouth just lets drool. Oh, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's a really cool thing. I'm not a big fan of just like the all white outfit.
Oh, I like it.
I think it's a cool aesthetic because like it makes the reds pop out. But I just like the idea of what Tim Curry's was just like a bright. That's a clown that would lure children in. I don't know how this clown lures children in.
Well, I mean, it wasn't that the clown itself was supposed to lure the children.
That's the idea.
Because he was, like, using the other things.
Yeah, like,
Like
the
the balloon.
balloons. and the
Oh, well,
boats,
okay,
and, like-
yeah, all right.
Or like there was one little girl in the sequel who he's like, I promise that I can get rid of the blemish on your face if you just come a little closer, because she has like a
Birthmark?
she has a
birthmark, and it takes up like half her face.
Mm-hmm. From what I remember, Pennywise, what he does is he scares children because they're easily scared. He scares them because that makes the meat taste better.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. He eats children. Fun guy.
I thought it was like it was the fear that he was consuming,
No.
not just
It's
the
like-
child.
It like tenderizes the meat.
It's like, imagine the fear is like the salt and pepper.
Because
Well, it's like the thing of like the adrenaline that like rushes, or like whatever like that
But the
chemical
but the bodies were
that
still
causes
there.
fear.
like
Right, I
floating
don't
in the
think
air.
He ate the bodies.
He didn't
He
eat
did?
the body. Then why were their bodies floating?
I don't know. Maybe those are like, I'll save those for later.
Okay.
You
Oh.
refrigerate?
Oh, I thought you were like, we'll talk about those
Yeah,
later.
that's what too.
Yeah.
No, he was really like, I'll eat them later. Or like he just takes them and like, I don't know. I always just thought, well, that doesn't make any sense. Now.
It's kind of like up for debate what he really does. It's very like
Yeah.
not.
I feel like when
I
Yeah, because
think
isn't he
eats-
an alien?
Yeah,
we're not talking about the book. I've yet to finish the book. Okay.
It's weird. All right. In the movie, they do say that,
Give me
like,
another
in the
6
second
months.
one, which I'll talk about in a bit, they describe it as something that came from the stars and landed down, and that they don't know how to deal with it, and it's just this creature that
What do
eats
they
people.
call it? It's like the lights or something. Like
Deadlight.
Oh yeah, the dead lights.
Deadlights, yeah. Deadlights. And those are basically lure. They kind of put you in a hypnotic stance, and there is a meme from the second one that makes me laugh. The yippee-ki-yay mother...
Yeah. See,
I keep
I
seeing those.
I like the meme from the first one when it first came out of like when he's dancing
Oh,
and his head's not
yeah.
moving
I could do that dance.
without your head moving.
Ooh.
Like the It movie really did benefit again, like the same way Stranger Things did from actually having kids.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Because you're like, oh my.
That's
gosh.
why I like the first one better, and I think...
Oh yeah. Oh my God. CGI Richie was horrible.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. And this is my problem with the original It too, and the book. I don't like the adult plot at all.
I don't either.
I think it should just been left at the kid plot. I understand what Stephen King was trying to go with this idea of like childhood trauma.
Yeah.
However, the adults aren't as interesting as the kids.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the adults, like, I don't like them. Like Bill, he's horrible, and he's like supposed to be the main character.
And the thing is my favorite was Stanley.
I know.
And so then for Stanley to like die, like right away.
Oh well, yeah.
Spoiler, but
Well, no, that's like the iconic like trigger warning. He commits suicide, and he uses his blood to just spell it, which
yeah.
happens in
In
that
the
is
very
shown.
beginning of the book too.
Yeah, in the very beginning of the book, but it happens in the original, or like they show the aftermath in the original TV like '90s version.
Yeah.
But in the movie, they don't show any of that. But they did film it.
I thought they did.
No.
Like they show him in the bathtub.
Yeah,
do they show?
in
But do
the
they show
second
him
movie.
doing the carving it into the wall?
No.
Yeah, but they did film that. Yeah, that's just my problem with the it, like, in general.
Because
I
I feel
just-
the same way about like the.
Because it's just kind of a lackluster ending because, like, I don't care about the adult plot. Honestly, if they were just ended off at the kids' plot, perfectly fine. I think it would be a
But it's
great, like,
totally
coming of age.
open-ended then.
Yeah. I'm also glad that they changed what happens at the end of the kids' plot from the book.
Yeah.
We won't get into that, but, like, it's very disgusting.
It's bad.
Keep in mind, Stephen King wrote this while
Stephen
high off
King's
his ass.
A total creepo.
Yeah, he kind of is.
Okay, yeah.
He
I'm
did write it.
intrigued now.
I think also like
Oh, you.
at least for these new ones, like the second one is so long.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
It's like 2.5 hours.
And it's
Yeah.
like not enough of it is actually scary. It's
Yeah.
just so much like exposition, and I thought the casting was really good.
Oh my
Oh,
God,
yeah.
it was amazing.
Richie,
like-
Bill Hader,
Yeah.
perfect.
No, as much as I don't like either of the actors, the guy that played adult Eddie is the spitting image of the
Yeah.
child.
They did really good with like, well, and that's the thing is like Finn Wolfhard was like, I think Bill Hader would be great, and then they did it.
Yeah.
like it was perfect.
Who's the girl who played the
Jessica
girl?
Chastain.
No. In the the
Oh,
younger
Sophia-
actress.
Sophia
Sophia-
Willis.
yeah.
Yeah,
Willis.
she was like, hey, yeah, I want Jessica Chastain to play
Yeah,
it.
I
And
think they asked all the kids.
I will say though, the second one does have this really creepy moment with Barb, Deb, what's her name?
Bev.
Bev.
Beverly.
I
You're
don't
close.
like Bev.
Are you talking about
She's
the-
a lying.
So Bev goes back to like her childhood home.
Oh, I know.
And
yeah.
I thought that they did this so much better in the remake than in the original because it just builds so much tension and it's so like ugh.
The old lady.
Yeah. Because then the old lady's just naked. She's naked, running around, and I'm like, oh my god.
That's horrifying in general.
Yeah, I don't want to see an old woman naked, and then she like starts to morph and
All bodies are
transform.
beautiful.
All bodies are beautiful. But I personally don't want to see. I don't want to see regular people naked.
Regular people? What do you mean by regular people?
Old people are not
Katie?
regular.
It's like The Shining. You're like, a naked old lady. Just throw it in there.
Yeah, it is like The Shining. You're right.
You know?
It is. Well, it's Stephen King. Yeah.
But I
He loves naked
He loves
people.
naked old
Apparently
ladies.
not, because he makes them like the thing of horror.
But the first one I saw in theaters
Unless they're
twice.
young.
Okay, also,
Gotta love them gilfs.
She's 11 in the book.
Yeah.
so the other thing
Yeah.
I will say though is so with the first one,
I didn't
Henry
know what it
Bowers
was.
is supposed to have,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he murders his dad.
Yeah.
And then
Who
he,
murders his dad?
Henry Bowers.
Oh yeah.
But
The
then
bully.
like there's a
I know
cut
who he is.
scene where you find out that he also murdered his two best friends, which I feel like just enhanced the movie so much because
Mhm.
like he kills his dad. He barely has any blood on him, and then he shows up again and he's like drenched. And I'm like, where did this come from? Like, how'd you?
Well, I can also see like his dad was kind of like abusing him. I would say.
It wasn't a good
Sort of,
relationship.
But also
And so
Henry
it's
Bowers
like-
was also just a bad
Yeah.
person.
So I can see why angry Henry Bowers, abusive father, and somebody pushing on him to do it would like result in that. But then when he kills his best friends, it's like,
That's like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Because then that explains why he would then be capable of like trying to murder these kids,
yeah.
right? Because up until then he'd just been like slightly sadistic.
Well, I mean, they do show him with the cat, so
What?
when he like tries to get one of his
Oh,
friends
yeah,
to
to
hold
shoot
the
a cat.
so he could shoot it.
Oh, yeah,
He
yeah.
Yeah, I
does,
know.
like-
That's more alarming to me than what he does.
He does also carve open a child.
He
Not
does?
open, just
when?
cuts a
Words.
child. Like,
He-
Oh yeah,
He
Henry.
starts writing
Where when he
Fatty.
writes Henry on them.
no, he writes.
He writes H-E.
Oh, I
Ah,
thought he
yeah.
wrote. Never mind. I guess I was wrong.
That's pretty much the It movies. They're good. I like Andy Muschietti's directing in them. Again, from Mama. He directed Mama, then he went on to direct It. And now he's directing the Flash movie.
Sorry. Before we move on, I just need to mention too how iconic the scene is when they clean the bathroom with 6 different waves playing in the background. Oh my god, that changed my life.
I just love it when she's like quotes the poem and then he's like, "Was that in the play?"
Yeah. Do you not think that scene is iconic?
I mean, I liked it because it showed, like, them coming together as friends to help out their one friend.
But the song is so good. 6 different ways inside. I don't know if we can get copyright
Ben is
now.
just so cringe.
I like the scene because of what it represents. I don't really care about the movie. That song didn't strike out to me, that's all.
Oh, it really struck out to me.
I can tell.
I really like that
I
song.
can definitely tell.
I just
All
like
right,
the whole scene.
talking about another alien kind of thing, let's talk about A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
Have any of you seen A Quiet
There's
Place?
aliens in it?
I haven't
There
seen it.
really
I know
is.
of it. I know a little bit about it.
I've
Like,
never seen
they
it.
walked through the forest on the sand. Because
Yeah.
if you make a
Yes.
sound,
Mm-hmm.
it finds you.
Yeah. So yeah, this movie really played with sound in general of like, well, first of all, it's directed by John Krasinski, and that's a big deal because he's in the movie with his actual real life wife, playing his wife, Emily Blunt.
Chemistry's really great.
Really good. They're the cutest couple. I hope nothing bad happens
I think they're really, really fantastic.
in the movie. Yeah.
But what I think is really funny about A Quiet Place, especially as someone who saw it like in theater, I saw the second one in
I did.
theaters.
I saw the first one in theaters.
Yeah.
I did not see the second one in theaters.
So a lot of people specifically that work at movie theaters hated that movie, not because like it was bad, but because when people came in to see it, they bought less snacks because they didn't want to be loud.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was my thing too. Because like in the theater, like I always buy popcorn and a drink. However, like there were certain moments in the movie where I was like,
Yeah, like if I make noise right now, I made sure I opened all of my stuff beforehand because I didn't want to be that bitch halfway through the movie that's like
dude,
trying to
I
put her listeners-
loved the experience that this movie created, where it was just like everybody was quiet. And if you know me, I like it when everybody shuts the fuck up in a
Yeah.
theater.
Also,
Trust me, I've had 2 annoying, going back to old women, who would not shut the hell up in movie theaters.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
one of those people though. I have to kind of talk during a movie. I have to kind of like distract myself and take myself out of it just to kind of digest. Also, I can't focus that long, so
I
that's
think
why I kept making
As long
comments.
as you
or-
whisper.
Yeah,
if there's
I
also
whisper.
like if it's just you
Don't-
and your friends.
Oh
that's
yeah,
also
that's
good.
fine. But like, if they're like, here you could talk like if you're like watching a movie like in your own home. That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. Like that's fun. But you're in the theater and like
That's why I see
there's other
matinees.
people around. What?
That's why I go to matinees. There's not many people who go to those.
No.
Yeah, I go to those too. But like, again, I saw Don't Worry, Darling. And there was just 3 generations of women behind me who would not shut the hell up. And I was already not enjoying the movie.
They're like, oh my god, Harry Styles.
Yeah, ugh.
Why
Watch
are
my
they-
review.
But also, like, A Quiet Place, aside from the fact that, like, it's dead silent, so that builds tension,
Mhm.
there's this, so, this isn't, like, a spoiler or anything, there's, like, they walk on certain paths because it's quieter,
Mhm.
and there's this nail that you see on one of
Oh
their paths.
yeah,
And
Chekhov's
every-
nail.
Yeah, and every time you're like, you know something's gonna happen with that, you just don't know when. And so every time they're walking down their stairs, you're like, ugh. And it's one of those things like, stepping on a nail is like, ugh. Like, you can feel that. That's
Oh, yeah.
visceral. Even if you've never actually stepped on a nail, you're like, oh my god, like, I can't.
You've stepped on something though, where it's
Where
just
you're
like,
like,
Wait,
ugh.
so somebody
It's like
steps on the
Legos.
nail,
Yeah.
Yes.
and then there's scream?
Yeah, you just, you
well,
don't.
it's like she steps on the nail, she like lets out an audible like.
It's one of those things where, like, it builds so much tension because you're like, I know this is gonna happen, I know it is.
Keep in
but
mind, she's
when?
also pregnant.
She's very
like
pregnant.
this is like month 9.
Which was
And
Probably-
she couldn't even tell that there was a nail there, probably.
Yeah, she was like, she's kind of like, kicks are coming, like it's obviously like your water's breaking and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then she like has to go down to the basement to grab something because her husband's not there. So, and again, you can't make noise.
Yes.
Like at all. Like it's great at that where it's because like any little thing that happens in this movie, you're like, shit. It
Yeah.
really creates this really cool world of like how do they get around all these things because they live in a wooden house. So
Well, what I think is so
that shit
interesting-
creaks.
The family, like, the way that they also learn to exist is the fact that they speak sign language.
Oh
because the daughter is deaf, and they use,
Mhm.
like, an actually deaf actress.
Yeah.
I appreciate the
Which
death
is, yeah, that's so important. Because, like,
representation.
yeah. It's such good representation. It also has such, like, okay, some people don't like the beginning. Because, like we were saying earlier with Jaws, like, you don't see the monster until way later. But with the beginning, which I'm not going to spoil because it's so good, I think at least you do kind of see it. But it's in a way that you're like,
Well,
oh my god, I didn't
It
see
does the
that
thing
coming.
like what Jaws did do was like you see the fin.
Yeah.
In this you just see like something just go.
Yeah.
Like the cool thing about these monsters, they're so fucking fast that like they
Yeah.
just come in, wham. They're practically like skinny bulldozers because like as
Yeah.
soon as like they run in, they're like they grab you real quick and you're gone. Like that's it.
They're also, like, so sensitive to hearing.
Uh-huh.
And you don't
well,
really see this until,
yeah,
like,
okay.
to sound.
Yeah, okay.
And you don't see this until later in the movie, but it makes me ill every time. Is like when they get really close when they're trying to hear something,
So yeah, like,
I don't know how to describe it.
there's a certain design of these creatures where like both sides of their heads are basically this giant ear canal kind of looking thing.
Yeah.
And you can like they open up a bit to like kind of hear what's going on, so like they'll focus in on things. But yeah, I won't say what their weakness is. But yeah, I still really like the movie. I love how direct. I mean, I'm talking about the first one specifically. I haven't seen the entire second one, but I really like what it set up. I really like John Krasinski's direction. I like this new trend of comedy directors coming in and doing horror. We'll definitely talk about a certain director later in the month.
Also, I would just like to point out, I like kind of how, like, the Bird Box, you lost the sight, or, like, they had their sight taken away, like, you
Mhm.
can't look.
Yeah.
And then you have A Quiet Place where you can't speak or anything. I feel like we're going to get more, like, sensory deprivation type stuff.
All right. How about we get down to earth here and, like, within the earth and talk about some Tremors?
So Tremors is it's another one of those, like, kind of cheesy but also, like, kind of scary in its own right movies, where these, like, giant sandworm type of things like live.
Graboids.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that.
Oh.
Live under the ground, and they call them graboids. because of course they do. Because when they like sense motion on the ground, they grab you from below the ground, and it's so like, it's so chaotic and it's so good. And what's that guy's name who's in it?
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon. He's
Yeah.
so funny.
He's really funny because he really plays up this like Southern hick.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing, is that they're in a town with a population of like 12.
Yeah.
Literally.
What was it, like Paradise or something like that?
Yeah.
It was like this really backwater town where like.
There's literally like a couple who has a like whole basement full of
Oh
guns
yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
machinery. And like,
That's a fun character too. I
Yeah.
forgot his name.
because it's a couple.
Yeah, it is a couple.
It's a guy.
Like
with,
Reba or was like
Reba Wilson.
Reba Wilson plays the wife, and I
Yeah.
forgot the name of the dad because that character is then in all the sequels.
Yeah.
But
Um.
God, why am I freaking Burt Gummer?
Yeah.
That's the name. Yeah, this movie's really fun.
It is.
I love it because like I love the idea of like it's pretty much the floor is lava
Yeah.
idea of like you have to climb up on stuff so that you don't touch the ground, because if you touch the ground you're dead. And like there's a lot of really fun moments of like how they get around that, and there's a lot of planning scenes that are kind of fun because all these characters are kind of dumb, so it's kind of
God.
cool seeing them do smart things by coming together.
Well, okay, what is interesting about this movie that is that the smart woman is like, well, for starters, we're supposed to perceive her as ugly, but she's really not. But like,
Hell
she
no.
does get the guy in the end, which I think is really fun, because at first
Yeah.
they're like, haha, 4 eyes, like you're smart, and that makes you a nerd.
Oh yeah, it's the she's all that.
Yeah. She was
metaphor.
really pretty the whole time,
Yeah.
except like they don't change her. That's the thing I love about it. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
she stays the same. She
She's
is
a
still a nerd in the end.
geologist, right?
Yeah. And I love that. I love that the nerd gets the guy without having to like change.
The monsters are practical, like how they show like the dirt like moving around is
Yeah.
really cool. Like the premise came because like the writer was like, imagine, like he was sitting on a rock and he was like, imagine if I could not move right now and I had to sit on this rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great movie. Great fun dumb movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tremors. Definitely check it out. Alright. We're going to talk about Night of the Living Dead. It is the movie that set up all of these the zombie movies that we've come to know and love, like The Walking Dead. We're about to talk about another one that I really want to bring up.
It sets up the slow moving.
The slow moving and kind of fast moving. The idea of like you get bit, you turn, they come up from the grave. It's also known for having a black lead, like, and also like he's not stereotypical. He's smart. He's proficient. He just has to deal with a lot of dumb white people.
Yeah.
Really fun movie in that right. It doesn't end so fun, but it does end on a really poignant message.
Yeah. Because you think it's going to end happy and then it just doesn't.
No, it just straight up does not. But yeah, Night of the Living Dead, you can pretty much watch this movie anywhere because it's on public domain.
Yeah.
No one owns this movie. Like, you can literally, like, copyright this.
Well, I own this movie now.
Yeah.
Boom.
But keeping on zombies, I'm just going to talk about Train to Busan.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was scary but good.
I love Train to Busan. This is probably my favorite zombie movie of all time. It's Korean. I love the characters.
It's so sad.
It is so sad. However, both dads in this movie are awesome.
So sad.
But the big guy, I forgot his name, but Don Lee, I know that's what he's known here as. He plays the big guy. He's awesome. He's my favorite character in the movie.
And then the
Wait,
couple. The high school couple.
Oh, yeah.
That shit was sad
That
too.
kid- is
The
also on
K-drama. The
Oh.
K-drama couple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so sad.
That kid is, the boy is from the movie Parasite, and the girl is apparently a K-pop star.
It's
Not surprised.
It's like, for it being a monster movie, it does have like a really deep message.
Thing about zombie movies, even going back to like the Night of the Living Dead stuff with Romero, it is definitely like very politically charged. Over here, like in the Night of the Living Dead, it's American politics for the 60s, but over there it's contemporary 2016 politics for stuff that is going on in Korea. The zombies in this movie are terrifying. They're fast, they're feral, the performers are like all contortionists, so they can do really cool things with their body. It is these zombies are terrifying. I'll say this. I watched this with a group of friends. It is not scary. It's just tense. But
I think that's why I had to leave Because
Yeah.
it was just like too tense. My anxiety was like,
Yeah, it is a great, great movie. Like, I highly recommend you watch Train to Busan. So, we just talked about all these serious horror movies. Now we're going to talk about some family-based horror movies. And for the first one, we're just going to start off with the classic, like, spooky kids
Everyone's
thing.
favorite
Everybody's favorite,
childhood.
like, childhood thing was, like, Scooby Doo.
Yes,
They-
Scooby Doo is my everything. Scooby Doo, I love all versions of Scooby Doo.
Hold on. Is Scooby Doo to you like Shrek is the one kid from Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life?
Yes, absolutely. I recently made
I-
Lily watch Scooby Doo on Zombie Island, and she had never seen it before.
I've
It's
never
good.
seen any Scooby Doo.
So she didn't know the plot twist, and so she was like actually gasping. She was like,
I think that movie is the best Scooby Doo movie. Like,
Yes.
even better than the real live-action ones, in my opinion.
I
Okay.
like the live action ones though a lot.
So
That's fine.
the thing about, because there's 4 movies that came out in this like renaissance of Scooby Doo,
Yeah.
and you had that one, which was Zombie Island, Witch's Ghost, the oh my gosh,
The alien one?
yeah, Alien Invasion, and then like the technology one. I can't remember what
I
it's called.
forgot, yeah.
Like the same actors?
Yeah, well, because it was like
These are
Scooby Doo
animated.
Cyberspace.
Super,
Animated
yeah,
ones.
cyberspace. Because these are like the Scooby Doo movies where like the monster is real, like it's not just a guy in a mask.
Mhm.
And it like totally revitalized what Scooby Doo could be. And then you have the live action ones, which again like is real. The monsters are real, but the live action ones are a little bit more crude.
Yeah, well, oh yeah, they're very...
I
Dude,
can look at
Velma's
myself
transformation scene
naked.
Yeah.
in the latex suit. I'm just like, huh?
Oh yeah.
As a kid, I was just like, why is Velma shiny?
I was like, damn, like, Velma. Then, recently, they said that Velma's lesbian.
A lesbian.
I was like, well, that ship has sailed, even though that would never even happen.
Well, and Daphne and Fred is the original will they won't they.
Oh, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Velma obviously likes Daphne.
I think...
The way she always just like, Daphne!
So what's really funny is canonically, Fred has said, he's like,
I think Fred's gay.
no, because here's the thing is he's like, call me Fred, unless we're dating, then you can call me Freddy. And Shaggy calls him Freddy! And it's canon, it's true!
Honestly, I
There's
think...
also the Happy Tapioca.
What?
Two bros
I can say it out
chilling
loud.
in the-
Yeah.
I could say it out loud, but you might want to cut it, like entirely. But it is funny.
What is Happy Tappy?
So basically, Happy Tapioca is being submerged and putting in butt fucked.
What?
That's not a real thing.
What?
What does that have
That,
to do
no,
with
I'd buy that
Scooby-Doo?
being a real thing.
Because literally, so Fred, basically in one of the episodes of Mystery Incorporated, they like tour a college, and Fred is like, yeah, I'm gonna hang out with these jock guys, and we're gonna do this fun thing called a Happy Tapioca.
No
Dead
way.
serious. Dead serious.
I can't cut that out now.
I mean, it's your show.
Alright, well, that's funny.
Not very family friendly though.
This
This
isn't a family friendly
isn't
show.
family friendly.
The
Yeah.
show is supposed to be.
A pub named Scooby Doo is pretty damn family friendly.
Yeah.
Although
Scooby-Doo.
one of my favorite episodes of Scooby Doo growing up was the one where they like are Confederate soldiers, and I totally forgot.
What?
Yeah. So basically, they go to this.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah. So Scooby and the gang go to like a resort, and the resort is being haunted by 2 brothers, and one of them is Confederate, and one of them is a Union soldier. And as a child, I was like, huh, that's like funny, but I didn't really know what it was. And now I'm an adult, and I'm like, that's a little weird.
Have you seen Scooby Doo, like the recent ones with like him meeting Batman and all that?
I don't like some of those ones as much, but I have seen them.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
an original one with him and Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's
Like
this,
him meet like the WWE.
Yeah.
stuff.
So there's like a Scooby Doo series from like the 70s and 80s where
The
Scooby would
Hex
just
Girls!
randomly meet like celebrities.
Yes.
Like they'd be on their way
Yes.
and they'd meet
Scooby
like,
Doo and the Harlem Globetrotters.
yeah, exactly. And so there is one
So
where he
funny.
meets Batman and
Yeah.
he meets Don Knotts or whatever his name
Oh
is.
yeah, Don Knox. Yeah, Don Knox.
And I can't remember what that one is called, but those are hour-long specials. They're not
Oh, yeah.
half hour,
Yeah, oh yeah.
which makes them different.
But no, yeah, they would just like meet random celebrities, and like the movies, the live action movies would kind of poke fun at that by like having, well, at the time, very popular celebrities. Like as a kid, I was like, I don't know who that is, and as an adult, I'm like, who?
I love that the live action poke fun at the fact that Scrappy was a mistake.
Oh yeah, I love that shit. I love that Scrappy was spoiled. The villain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, the reason why you said these movies are crude, because the writer of this is James Gunn.
Mhm.
And if you know his humor, which I love his humor, it is very
That's why
like,
I love those Scooby-Doo movies.
yeah, he writes those so fucking funny.
Also, the 2 little eyeball guys. Like, if you had the DVD of that, you could play the
Yeah.
game.
Oh yeah, the sequel. Yeah.
Yeah, of the Monster Island or Monsters Unleashed.
Yeah,
It had like the
Monsters
two little eyeball guys. They were
Mhm.
fucking hilarious.
So we're gonna talk about Monster House now.
But like I watched it every year when I was a kid with my mom because it was her favorite like Halloween movie.
Yeah.
And I just watched it like recently, last Halloween. And it's
Mhm.
like this guy and this
Mr. Nevercracker.
yes. He like marries this woman and after a while she dies in the house that they're building.
Yeah.
And so she like becomes the house.
Yeah.
And the little kids who live across the street are like scared of him.
Well, because she hates kids.
Right.
And so he, like, has to keep kids away. And so everyone's like, oh, Mr. Nevercracker's, like, he's awful. He hates kids. But
We
it's
have a friend
actually,
of the
like,
show who's just like who hates kids too. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. But he's just, like, trying to protect the kids. But then,
Right, because the house will like eat them.
yeah. But then
Yeah.
Mr. Nevercracker seemingly dies. And so they think that Mr. Nevercracker is haunting the house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? I
It's
thought
also
he left.
yeah, he has a heart attack and then
Oh,
he gets
yeah.
taken
well-
away in an ambulance.
And then DJ later gets hit by
I
an
don't
ambulance.
remember like them
Oh.
saying that he, well, or like they thought he was the one haunting it. They
Yeah,
just were like, "What's up
DJ
with this house?"
DJ, because basically he's like, get off of my lawn, and he's like holding DJ,
Uh-huh.
and then he has a heart attack while holding, like gripping DJ, and so he falls over with DJ, and DJ's like the main character in his hands, and like he's dead on
Uh-huh.
top of DJ, and so DJ thinks that he killed Mr. Nevercracker, and that now Mr. Nevercracker is haunting the house because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like getting weird dreams and he's getting phone calls from the house.
I loved this movie as a kid, and I haven't seen it in a while, but like I love the characters. I love the fat best friend. I think he was cool. The
Similar to
joke
me,
I
yeah.
remember from Monster House though was the uvula one.
Oh.
So she's a girl house.
Yeah, that one. That shit made me like as a kid went right over my head.
I see the one that I think is really, really funny is when DJ calls Chowder and he's like, hey Chowder, what are you up to? Like, you want to come over? And he's like, yeah, like my dad's at the pharmacy and my mom's at the movies with her physical trainer.
Well, do you know who wrote this movie, right?
No.
The same guy who did the Rick and Morty.
Oh, that makes
Oh.
so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DJ.
This was
You
like
peed
way
in
before him
bottles?
doing anything. Yeah. It's a really fun movie. It's a great kids family
Yeah.
horror movie.
Okay.
Okay, we have one more family friendly to talk about, and that's gonna be Nightmare Before Christmas. We won't talk about Corpse Bride. Quick cut. Gabby just had to leave.
So Nightmare Before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Before I say anything, my mom thinks that this is a bad movie because it's a bad Christmas movie. And to that I say it's not a Christmas movie.
It's a
That's
Christmas movie.
It's not a Christmas movie.
It's a Halloween movie.
They're literally making Christmas Halloween. That is the whole point of the movie. Why
It
would
is
be
a Christmas movie. Okay. I love Nightmare Before Christmas, especially like Christmas Town. But my parents always make me watch Polar Express every Christmas Eve. And I hate Polar Express with a
It's so creepy.
burning passion.
I agree, it's creepy, but I love Polar Express.
I can't. I've been forced
That's
to
a
watch
childhood
it so
thing.
much.
That's a childhood thing, though.
But like, my family's just like, well then why don't you find a movie we can watch? I'm like, we all like Nightmare Before Christmas. My brother went through 2 CDs. He literally watched it so much, he wrecked 2 DVDs of Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, he burned them out, and we're on our 3rd one. Like, Nightmare Before Christmas is, like, so, like, yes, Jack Skellington,
Yeah.
love. Sally,
AKA my brother.
AKA
Sorry.
also you.
Really?
Yeah. You're super tall and gangly, dude.
Yeah, basically the plot of the movie is there's a Halloween town where not the mayor, the king? The
King of
Pumpkin
Halloween.
King.
So it's
Pumpkin
true, 'cause
King.
he's the Pumpkin King, but they do have a mayor.
Yeah, they have a mayor.
And so
Yeah.
The most
patriarchy
popular
system
guy
is weird.
in town is this guy named Jack Skellington, who's a skeleton who everybody loves. All these monsters, ghouls,
but then he
werewolves,
gets sick and
vampires.
tired of the Halloween thing, so he just, like, goes out
Yeah, he
for
just
a
goes for a
long-ass walk.
He's
And
really
finds
not
all the
even
doors to
that
all the other
business.
towns
yeah.
for holidays. So it's
He finds these trees, and each tree has this door on it. He looks at it. One has a pumpkin on it, one has an Easter egg, and he sees one with like a Christmas tree, or what he just sees as a tree, and he walks in and basically stumbles into the North Pole,
Yeah.
and he finds like pretty much the North Pole, and he basically discovers what Christmas is. And he's one quick note, I love that song. That's my favorite song of the movie.
What's this?
What's this? What's this white stuff in the air? What's this?
I like that song, but I have to go with Like that original opening one.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
this is
good.
Halloween?
Yeah, this is Halloween. Especially like the Marilyn Manson cover. Just like his.
He brings all this knowledge back to his town. He's like, we should do our own version of Christmas. But the thing is, they're all twisted and weird, and it's this really cool mashup of like Christmas horror, or like a really twisted Christmas horror, which this movie is not directed by Tim Burton, but you definitely, all the designs and story came from Tim. No, it's not. It's not directed by him.
It's not.
I
Who
forgot the
directed
name
it?
of the director, but that director went on to do Coraline, which is another great stop
Yes.
motion animated movie. He basically came up with the idea and the like character designs because
Henry Selick.
yeah, thank you. So that's why his name is on there, because it's his idea and it's his character designs, and plus Tim Burton's name was pretty popular at the time and still is. But like yeah, it's a great, I consider this a Halloween movie more than a Christmas movie personally.
Yeah, it's definitely a Halloween movie.
Yeah, because
It's a
like
Christmas movie.
I just don't know what to tell you because they're literally making Christmas.
The coming
Halloween.
togetherness.
It's not come together. They literally destroy Christmas. That's the whole point of the movie.
But the coming together of the citizens of Halloween Town.
They don't come together. They kidnap Santa.
That's only
Together.
the 3 little assholes. Those 3 little assholes who I want to punt. I hate those 3. I hate Boogie's kids.
I like them. I think they're charming. They're children born in a Halloween town. How the fuck do you think they're gonna act?
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to inform everyone, while we're still on the subject, that the residents of Tarble have voted that The Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween movie and not a Christmas movie.
Ha!
Yes.
Oh my god. No.
Even the director said.
It's a Christmas movie, motherfuckers.
The citizens of Tarble would disagree.
Corpse Bride!
Corpse Bride. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Corpse Bride. You want to talk about the plot?
That's my literal comfort movie. That and Scooby Doo. It's just about this guy, Victor, who's like about to marry this woman, Victoria. But Victor's like new money, and Victoria's family is old money, but they're dirt broke, so they have to like marry them together to get money. And he's like really bad. He's so nervous. I'm just like him for real. And he messes up like everything, and so he goes out to the woods to try and like figure out his vows, and then instead accidentally marries himself off to a dead woman. And it's like
She comes back too.
and I feel so bad for her because it's like she just wants to be loved. I'm just like her for real too. She's just like she is in love.
Let it
with
all
Victor.
out. Let it all
And
out.
it's really hard too because even though Victor and Victoria don't really know each other, you can tell that they have a connection.
Oh yeah.
But then like he eventually does have a connection with Emily too, and so it goes as far as to like him. This is a spoiler. Like being willing to die to be with Emily, and Emily's like, no, like I don't want to take life from you. Like you deserve this.
Mhm.
But like he does care about Emily, and it's so hard. And she has this beautiful song called "Tears to Shed," where she's like, I'm dead, but like I still have feelings, and like she's. You know, like her heart doesn't beat, but it's breaking.
Mhm.
Ugh, me. Except my heart does beat.
Yeah. Again, this one is actually directed by Tim Burton.
Yeah, it's very, very
It's
good. It's also really short. It's only like an hour and 20 minutes.
yeah.
It's so short, and it's got such good songs.
Yeah.
Let's
It's
yeah.
really fun.
The
I
clay
love,
animation. I love
It's not
clay.
clay.
It's not? I thought it was.
It's like maquettes, puppets.
I don't.
I thought it was clay like Nightmare
Yeah,
Before
it's stop
Christmas.
motion.
No, well, okay, it's probably like clay molds.
Yeah.
But it's like it's not like actual like clay.
Yeah.
Like moving around. It's like they're articulated. They have like little metal parts in them that can move. Look up all the behind the scenes of Laika movies. That's spelled Laika.
Yeah, they make some creepy movies.
Oh, I love them. Yeah, a lot of them. Coraline, all sorts of things. But yeah. All right. Can't believe we're gonna end off the episode with this fucking thing. Well, we started with a shark movie. It's only fair we end with a shark movie.
6 of them.
Fuck yeah!
Yeah, we're talking about Sharknado.
Yeah, so Sharknado. What you need to understand is that, and I'm not saying that I think this will happen, but there is scientific reports of fish and other animals being swept up into tornadoes and like landing in place. So
Don't
like
give this movie scientific
It could
credit.
have happened to us today.
it could have happened today. But like yeah, so basically sharks end up in a tornado and it's really funny. One thing that happens in literally every single movie is something rolls. So, like, the head of the Statue of Liberty, the globe at Orlando, like, the Ferris wheel.
In California.
Yeah, it's so funny. And, like, the first two movies have some sort of, like, backing and understanding of, like, reality.
What?
Hold on,
Hold
no!
on.
No, shh! Because here's the thing, is it gets worse. Because then, in the sixth movie, they literally time travel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
They literally, like, there's a
Okay.
megalodon in space.
Okay, but isn't one of them where they're in like the middle of the desert and it's like a tornado and there's just like a shark aquarium and then everything?
Yeah. But that's not, so the first two make the most logical sense. The third one, you start to get to the point where you're kind of like, okay, they're literally in Orlando, like, this doesn't make any sense. And then you get to the point where, like, the wife becomes part cyborg, they time travel.
Their son comes back in time, and it's played
Yeah.
by Dolph fucking Lundgren.
Yeah, it's, because the thing is Sharknado doesn't take itself seriously.
Oh, hell no.
But they had fun.
Oh,
it's like killing clowns.
It was, and like a bunch of people would just start cameoing in these things. Like
Mhm.
that was also the gimmick of like, okay, what celebrity would want to be in this? Like,
Yeah.
I know for the first one it was Judd Hirsch, and the second one it was
They have the people from today.
the people from today, Judd Hirsch
Yeah.
from Independence Day.
Because with, like, National Lampoon's stuff, they always change the kids. Of the
Oh,
principals.
yeah.
They do the same thing in this movie.
Yeah.
And I think it's so funny. But in one of them, like, the daughter, they were like, yeah, you need some sort of love interest. And they just kept, like, trying to cast someone. And she was like, what if we just cast my boyfriend? And so they did.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
That's
their
cool.
chemistry. And then he dies.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. They, like, kiss. And then he, like, a shark is coming. So he pushes her out of the way. And he
I know in
dies.
one of them, like they got a really cool YouTuber called Eric Andre, the black nerd.
Mhm.
He's in one of them as like a train conductor. It's really
That's
fun.
so-
I know Dog the Bounty Hunter.
It's,
show.
yeah, it's literally
Neil
adorable.
deGrasse Tyson, who, Jesus Christ. Okay.
That's what I'm saying, is it's so, like, entertaining.
Does he play like Merlin? I don't know.
The sixth one literally ends with a hard reset.
What?
Yeah. Basically, they, like, travel back in time and they make it so that the Sharknadoes never happened in the first place. And so it's
What?
a hard reset. Where it, so it starts with the
Jesus
beginning
Christ.
of the first movie and they all, like, all the characters look up and they're like, but everyone's like, what are you, like, freaking out about? And
Mhm.
they're like, don't you know what's about to happen? And they're like, no. And it's like, the news report is like, and it's a nice sunny day. And it's true, because the Sharknadoes now don't happen. Like, hard reset. It's really funny.
That's okay. I guess I mean that's the only way you can like really end it. But like I know one of them like the whole gimmick was what was it? There was different kinds of Sharknadoes. There was a radioactive one. There was a fire one. There was a earth one where like the sharks had rocks, pointy rocks and shit.
And, well, the thing that, like, movies like Sharknado are so abundant that, like, during Shark Week, you have, like, stuff like Ghost Shark, Alien Shark,
Oh
Zombie
my
Shark.
god.
Like, stuff like that. It's
Dino
so funny.
Shark was
Dino
my
Shark.
favorite as a kid.
Sharktopus.
Oh fuck yeah, Sharktopus.
So, yeah, they're just really funny.
Yeah.
I enjoy those movies.
Like the Sci-Fi Channel just really blew up with all those B-movie shark things.
Mhm.
Thank all of you for listening. I had a great time talking monster movies with you guys, ranging from scary as hell to family-friendly stuff. Yeah, and
Sharknado.
to Sharknado. Before we go, do any of you want to plug anything?
Today in History, every Tuesday from 3:30 to 4:30. Listen to it. Listen to Best Worst Stories once it does air.
Go to my Instagram account and submit your stories for my show that's not airing.
I have an art Instagram called Taria's Art or Tara's Art.
Okay.
TERIA apostrophe S art. If you want to check that out, I guess.
Okay.
I have some art on there.
All right. Thank you for listening to The Graveyard Shift. I had a great time today. If you're listening to this on Wave, please listen to all the shows there. We are definitely going to get Lily's Best Worst Story is up. If you're listening to this on my YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. If you're listening to us on my Spotify, thank you, and please subscribe. Yeah, I hope you all had a good time listening to us talk about monster movies, because I definitely did. And yeah, bye.